Welcome to the Good Gift Show, episode 4. I'm with the incredible, the most amazing book author. Her name is Busisekile Khumalo, and here she is with us. She's an author. She wrote so many books, as you can see right here, and all of them are in these stores. So, guys, this is what you've been longing for. Here she is. Welcome to the Good Gift Show.
Thank you for having me.
So, could you please tell us about yourself?
Okay. My name is Busisekile. Actually, my name is Nicole Busisekile Khumalo. I dropped the colonized one.
Yeah, oh.
No, not really.
We still
But
woke.
then, yeah, what the land. So no, but the thing is, growing up, a lot of people use my second name because at home I was Busi. So a lot of people actually started knowing that my first name is Nicole when I had to write my grade 7 exams. Because then you have to register your names, and I would write Busisekile, and then my teacher would be like, no, you are Nicole.
Oh.
Nicole Biku, like. So yeah, it was easier for me to just use my second name because it's been my name. Yeah. So basically I'm an author. I've written these 4 books. I'm a law graduate. I have an LLBS, an honors degree in law. I'm a mother of one. Yeah, she's 1 year, 8 months.
Okay.
I'm a wife. I'm a daughter.
A sister.
A sister. Yes, I'm a
Yeah.
deputy parent actually. So yeah, I'm a lot of things, but yeah.
Could you please take us to your childhood in like going to you writing books?
Okay. So I never thought I would write books. Basically, I was born in 1993, the firstborn to my parents, and my love for books started. Actually, I hated school in grade 1 to a point where I didn't want to go to school anymore because the teacher they used to she used to pinch my under armpits until a point where I would bleed, and then my mother had to notice, and then she went to school, and then after that it was sorted. So yeah, but then grade 1 I hated school. And then my love for books started in grade 4. This other teacher would encourage me to read. Her name was Mrs. Mashango, I think. Yeah. So she would encourage me to read. And then that's when I started reading books. Sweet Valley Twins, Enid Blyton, the mystery books. And yeah, and then grade 6, grade 7, I started reading Mills and Bones. From then I was like, I loved books to such an extent whereby I would during study time I would be reading books more than I read
schoolwork.
my actual schoolwork. And I would read like 3 books per day, 3 books per day. I was that quick. I'm so quick, but now I just don't have enough time, I think. Growing up, crops in the way. But yeah, I loved books, and they actually made my compositions better. I remember when I was in Form 1, English teacher asked someone to ask the Form 4s. So it's basically in South Africa, it's like a grade 8.
Okay.
And then I was in grade 8. And then the teacher asked the pre-matriculants to read my composition to see how to structure their compositions.
Sure.
So it was,
I guess that built your confidence.
Yeah, it was and it was my first composition because it's that composition whereby my first day at high school. Yeah, that was my composition.
Sure.
And then, yeah, it was and I got merits for it, and I was like, it was and then it sort of made me a bit popular with even the Form 4s then, because they would come to my class and we're looking for the girl with the English composition. So it was and then I was really good with compositions and then reading, But then, yeah, I also studied literature. Yeah, I love reading, so I love writing. I was also part of the high school magazine. I was the editor of the magazine, and all that
Which
stuff.
high school is this?
Maris Brothers Dete. It's in Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's Maris Brothers.
So you had a magazine then?
Yes, it was called Oasis.
Hey, this high school is fire.
It was called Oasis.
Yeah.
And so I was sort of that nerd because I wasn't big on sports, but I was part of the debate. I was part of Oasis. I was part of AIDS Eradication Club. I was the deputy head girl. I was, that sort of a person, yeah. And then I did literature in A level as well. I did geography, history, and literature for my A level. And yeah, I was still very good with literature. I think writing is something that has always been in me. I remember even in high school, I started writing this book. It was about those twins called Tia and
in high school.
Yeah, in high school.
Yeah.
But I was writing in like an exercise book. You see those 32 page.
Yeah.
And because I was writing and people wanted to read, so I would tear the book into pages and give them in the class. And so they got lost. So my story somehow it would have been a fire book.
Yeah.
But it got lost. Exactly, because and people will be shouting, "Who's got page 3?" And then I'm like, "I have," and then I want page 5,
and then they'll just.
It was just So, but it got lost somewhere along the way. But yeah, so I think that was my first novel without knowing it. Oh yeah, and then but I didn't pursue writing as a further. I then went on to study law at the University of Zimbabwe. So A level I studied in Regina Mundi High School, also a Catholic school.
Okay.
And then I went to University of Zimbabwe in Harare. That's where I did my law degree. Yeah. So yeah, and then I finished in 2016. So basically, that was my childhood. I did my primary at St. Patrick's, secondary Maris Brothers, high school at Regina Mundi, then university. UZ. So that's basically my childhood and my short career in writing.
I get. Yeah. So when we're talking about childhood, right? For me, there are very little things that I remember from my childhood. So I want to ask about your friends. Do they still see you as Ubusi lawyer, or is the relationship now different because you're a writer and you're this successful when it comes to your career?
Not really. Not at all. My oldest friend is Udayana. We're cousins actually, but friends because we went to the same primary school as well. And she calls me, and she has a daughter. Our daughters speak on the phone, and it's not, we don't talk books, we just talk normal things. We would say and it's just that it's just that thing where you're like, so no, I don't think it's changed anything. Then I have my high school friends. They're still crazy. They still they still call me using my nickname, which I'm not going to. I'm not. So nothing really has changed, but they have been really supportive in terms of, I remember when I started my first book, The Harvard Wife.
Okay.
The person who edited it for me was my college friend. Yeah. So when I started writing, at that time I was working at Steers as a cashier. Yeah.
And you're still writing then?
That's when I started.
That's
actually.
When you wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I was stuck in traffic. That thing whereby you're stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
And then I would go from Freedom Park to Morningside. So that's like 2 taxis. And so when I was stuck in traffic, I had this other journal of mine. Then I started scribbling a story. And then when I got a time off work, because it was like I would work I would leave home at around 7 a.m. and come back 11 p.m. like on a daily. So when I got some time off, then I transferred it from the journal to my laptop. Then when I finished my first chapter, I sent it to Z. I was like, no, there's something Nyana that I'm writing.
Yeah.
So tell me your thoughts.
Yeah.
And then she read it. She was like, oh, Nga, you sound like you've been writing. You sound like you've been an author all your life. I want to know more. What happens? What happens?
And
Do they go?
What
And
were your thoughts then when she gives you the thing?
it
Because
was like, wow. Because it was
Yeah.
just, for me, it was just this thing whereby I'm just, I was at a place, when you've studied something and then you don't find work, and then you find yourself as a cashier, then you're like questioning yourself, that thing you would see. I think I was sort of depressed, Nyana, but then because you don't really have time to think about, am I depressed? What is happening? But I was really having these dark thoughts about, is this going to be my life? So yeah, and then when I sent it to her, then she was like, no, what happens? What happens? What happens? And then I wrote the next chapter. She's like, no, what happens? And then I kept on sending her the chapters and sending her the chapters until I had this like whole manuscript,
Sure.
Yeah. And then she was like, so now my other friend Uvimbai, we also went together to college. She was like, then what are you going to do now? What are you going to do? Are you going to look for a publisher? Are you going to, so I opened a blog on visionary writing. No, not visionary writing. It's what's the name of that blog?
The blog.
The blog.
I don't know,
No, it's WordPress.
Oh, okay.
I opened a blog on WordPress. If you look for it, it's actually there. I think I posted like 6 chapters of the Harvard Wife. But then engagement on WordPress is like not so big, and I would write and share the link on my Facebook page. But because, it didn't get much of an engagement. And then my other colleague, like someone I also went to school with, I was like, why don't you, I've been reading the stories on Facebook. Why don't you post a few chapters on Facebook? Get some reaction from people, see what they think, And I was like, okay. So I posted the first chapter on Facebook.
That was back in 2017.
Yeah. 2017, around June, somewhere there.
Yeah.
And then I posted the first chapter.
Not knowing that's a book.
Yeah, it was like, but I did tell them like upfront, I wrote this book, but I just want to see your reaction, if it's worth publishing or not, because I wasn't really sure about, and by then I had quit my job at Steers.
The Steers job.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
The hours were horrible. Okay, besides everything else, the hours were horrible. It got to a point where they were saying there were double shifts. They were not, like, I know in other steers they have shifts.
Okay.
But that side there are no shifts. So you go from morning until evening.
Sure.
And then they had this shift where they were like going for 7 days. And that's like 13 hours times 7 days and no rest or no.
That's 13 hours you can write 7 books.
And I was like, and the pay was, for all that you'd get 2,500 or 3,000 most. And the transport money, as I was like, no. So I was like, no, let me just quit and see what I can do, because this is not going anywhere.
So you wrote on Facebook?
I wrote on Facebook, the first chapter. And then some people shared the first chapter. People started calling each other, hey, come and read this, come and read this.
Within your friends?
No, people I don't know. Like, people I don't know. Literally, people I don't know. And it grew. Right now, I think that page is sitting at like 12,000 people or something, or 16,000. I'm not sure.
Wow.
It's just grew. Like, it really grew. And then it was like, I remember this Upumi Pumza Shabang.
Yeah.
She shared my page on her page, and then other authors shared, and so that's why I also share people's work a lot. I remember you asking me about sharing, because that's where I started. Someone shared my work with someone else, and then the people enjoyed it. and then the feedback I was getting was positive. It was good. It was like, and then it became sort of a communal project, because everyone was like, someone would be like, send me a link, and we're like, no, you know what, Ududu is to self-publish her book. Why don't you self-publish? There's also Busisiwe Khumalo. Ironically, there is a Busisiwe Khumalo. People mix us up a lot, because I'm Busisekile, she's Busisiwe.
Oh.
So
okay.
yeah, and we're
Yeah.
both Khumalos, but
Yeah.
she's Busisiwe Precious Khumalo.
Oh, okay.
So I sent her a message on Facebook. I was like, hi, my name is Busisekile. I'm writing a book. How do I go about like getting copyright protection, you know, and all
okay.
that stuff? Yeah.
This is you trying to understand
Exactly,
the business side of it, and
exactly, like
yeah.
everything, the step by step, you know. And then I didn't expect her to respond, because I did inbox a couple of authors and none of them responded. But she responded. She was like, no, you emailed the National Library and you asked them for ISBN. I didn't know what an ISBN was. She then explained it to me, which, you know, this is what it is, this is what goes down, and then, you know, someone would be like, no, I know there's printers. I saw this post about printers and I thought about you.
Yeah.
Why don't you email this and ask them for a quotation? That's how I got the Bevan Little email. And then I emailed, and then someone was like, no, I know this, you know. But now the thing is, I was unemployed.
Yeah.
I didn't have money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was.
So these things are all happening.
Those things are happening,
Yeah.
but then they need money, because you need money to get a cover. You need money. My friend Utsi, she said, no, I'll edit it for you. It's fine. There are a couple of mistakes here and there and whatnot. And then my father offered to give me money to print for my cover design.
Okay.
And then but I still needed a printing, you know, and my partner, he was unwilling. He was
Partners.
yes.
Hey.
He's like, who's going to read the books?
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's like, no, the people will hype you on Facebook, but they won't buy the books. It's like, no. You know what happens? People buy books and then they share them among each other. So even if you print, because I wanted to print like 300 or more copies, it's like, no. So you'd rather start small. He was like, and I'm only borrowing you this money. He's like,
sure.
Yeah, so he borrowed me 7,000 to print my first 100 copies. And I'm grateful though for that, because that was like the start I needed. I know a lot of people, they are failing to go forward because they don't even have that printing money.
Yes.
So after that, I printed 100 copies. By then, because I had posted up until 11 chapters on Facebook, and then I stopped. I was like, no guys, this book is actually now going to print. So now people were on my case. Like, I remember there was Ulin Gasa. She would text me, like she would inbox me. She was like, I know I'm now in nuisance, but what is happening with the book? How far are you? What are the printers saying? What is this? I'm like, oh my God. And so, but we're now great friends actually because of that, because she kept pushing me, and then we got talking beyond the books. So, but then, and then I got my first 100 copies. That was like December 2017. And I was also getting pressure from the person who borrowed me the money. He was like, yo, you know what? I need that money, girl. I need to go home. I need that money. I'm like, no, but it's like,
a
no,
whole
no.
7 grand.
I was like, I need that money. I need it. I want my money back. And the printers were taking their sweet time. But then the books came out around the 14th or whatever of, And we needed to go home on the 22nd. So I needed that money. But the 100 copies were sold out by then. Like, they sold out within a week. Literally, the 100 copies, they were like gone. First,
no experience whatsoever.
Nothing. The 100 copies were just gone within a week.
This is amazing. Mind blown. Yeah.
So
wow.
It was like, that was my first 100 copies.
Sure. So what do you think? Let's say while you were going through stuff, you were unemployed and all that. So what made you to not go do what you studied for? Because you studied law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not for lack of trying on my
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
I applied and I would go for interviews. But this other lady, she was very frank with me. She was like, you know what, we would like to employ you because you're very good at what you do, because they made me draft something and then I did. Then she was like, no, you're very good, but you're Zimbabwean, so, and you don't have a permit.
What?
Yeah, so they're like, you don't have a work permit. And she was very frank. She was like, it's hard getting.
Could you please tell us more about the book?
Okay.
And it's a fictional book, right?
Yes, it's
Yes.
fiction. So Lola is a prequel. Yeah, prequel, the pre to the sequel. Okay, of the Harvard Wife. So first there was the Harvard Wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So the Harvard Wife, there is Bumi, Oyama, and Lola.
Yeah.
So this is the Lola from the Harvard Wife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So basically, though, Lola's heart, it's talking about Lola finding herself. She's just finished college. She's, finding herself. She has this unrealistic expectation of love, the fairy tale kind of love. Boy meets girl, boy
Happy
falls.
endings.
Yeah, the happy endings and
Yeah.
all that stuff. She's that person who believes in hearts and roses. She's a gentle soul. She's, yeah, but then she's up for a rude awakening. She has to kiss a lot of frogs. But then in the story, she sort of realizes that the love she has been looking for, you can't get it if you don't have that love for yourself. Then, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So what made you write this book? Is it the the pressure from your fans? When you wrote The Harvard Wife, and did they want part 2 or something?
Yes, they wanted part 2, but then this is not part 2, which is why I'm saying it's the prequel.
Oh.
So part 2 is supposed to be Oyama's story. But then because Oyama and Lola are sort of like their sisters and their stories go together. But then I thought that Lola deserves her own instead of combining the two. I thought Lola deserves her own story because of the spirituality and the story, the issues which actually arose from the story were like, yeah. So yeah, that's why I decided to say no, Lola's heart must go alone, and then we'll have Oyama's story after Lola's heart.
And in the book, there's a distinction of differentiating spirituality with religion.
Yeah. Because a lot of times we mistake religion for spirituality, whereby when you go to church and then you can go to church and not be a spiritual, and you can be very spiritual and not go to church. And a lot of times religion separates us, but spirituality brings us all together, whether you worship God, Yahweh, or Allah, Jah, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's you're spiritual, so you see it's one thing,
Okay.
but then religion differentiates
And
because
there's
it's
laws.
exactly, there's laws and this and this and that. So yeah, that is. And religion in this book is portrayed by Pastor Ike Chuku. So Ulola
I'm
has
thinking about Ibu. When you say
yeah, he was Nigerian. He
Yeah.
was Nigerian as well.
Okay.
So he had a fling with Ulola,
Oh.
but she didn't know he was a pastor.
Okay.
It's that thing whereby you have a hookup. You're young. You're just experiencing. She was tired of expecting love from every guy she met.
Yeah.
So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a fling. No strings attached. I'm going to try this. And she had this no strings attached. She had a great weekend. After that, she was like, let's live on amicable terms. But unfortunately, she meets the same guy 2 weeks later,
In the book.
Yeah, she meets him and then she discovers he's a pastor.
Sure.
He's a married pastor, So in that we are saying, Guti, there's a pastor is still a person at the end of the
Yeah,
day. Just
true.
because someone is a religious leader doesn't mean they're immune to sin. They're immune to
Yeah.
whatever. And then it's one of those lessons whereby the way pastors are held in high regard, especially in our African context.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Religion
is
is
so true.
huge in Africa. It's like,
True. Yeah.
in more than every other
And we
continent, I feel
have
like.
so much expectations from our pastors and whatnot.
Exactly.
And we're expecting perfection.
And it almost goes to worshiping them,
Mm.
that thing whereby if like church fanatics, like that thing, papa go deeper, papa,
Yeah,
my spiritual father, and this and that,
yeah.
those type of people, if you like somehow even criticize their pastor or whatever, they curse you, they do this
Yeah,
and that. And
yeah.
so we saw that with the Omatos. Is it Omatos? Maybe I'm not. Yeah. I actually saw this headline whereby it was saying that Christians are asking for his sentence to be dropped. Someone who is charged with sexual assault, which is like a huge crime, but because he's a religious leader, a lot of people then they say it's a spiritual attack. But then
Wow.
you see, so it's like that thing whereby we need to differentiate between religion and spirituality,
Yeah.
to say that we need to look beyond religion, beyond spirituality, to the people, to the actual human beings. They are not infallible. They also have sins, yeah.
They're not infallible. I'll research the word after the show. So,
Yeah.
so what are some of the social issues that you've seen or experienced that you would write about?
Well, I'm a people's person. I love engaging with people. When I'm in the taxi, I'm that sort of person who we end up talking as if we're old friends.
Yeah.
And then
You're not one of those that look at people's phones.
No.
You know those like,
No.
Yeah, okay.
Basically because I'm half blind. I'm short sighted, so then it will be like, I think I'll be like,
yeah.
so
Okay.
no, I don't do that.
Okay. Well,
But yeah,
right.
but I'm that sort of a person who strikes a conversation with someone, like in the taxi. Like, let me give an example. This other time I spoke to this guy in the taxi, and he was telling me that he studied what? He studied marketing, but he couldn't find a job. So then he started doing building. He became a construction worker.
Okay.
So a random guy, I don't even know him, like I don't remember his name, whatever. But then these are just conversations I have with people, and there are some things which I come across, and then things I see on TV, some of the discussions that people have. And the one with Ulola's heart, there's actually a case when because the pastor actually almost kills her,
Okay.
And so I was basing this on that girl who was raped by the priest. She wasn't really raped, but she was sexually assaulted, and then no one believed her and all that stuff. So everything that is happening around, at times it informs my stories. I like my stories to be as relatable as possible. For me, the greatest compliment a reader can give me is saying, I relate to your story.
Sure.
It's so important for me. This is so important because I feel like representation is everything. I grew up, I did talk about my love for reading, but then I would read all the stories. They were of white people who obviously went through white people problems, which at times I couldn't relate to. At times I could relate, but some of the problems.
What are white people problems?
So white people problems, no? So basically, there are some things which I, as a black person, cannot relate to, that white people might go through, For instance, if they talk about a generational wealth, that thing whereby they have these expectations to carry on the world, to do this and that. And I'm thinking, everyone is looking at me to actually create that wealth which they are like sort of carrying forward, So in the books, when they talk about, and they have this undying love for their pets, and I'm thinking, when someone is actually
Yeah.
carrying out, and it's like in a white, like, let's say it's a white, let me not say white as well, okay,
Yeah.
but in maybe a Mills and Boone, a spinster is someone who loves cats, who has this many cats, who has this many,
Yeah.
and then for me as a black woman, a spinster,
Kimloy.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
an old person who's like, but they don't have cats.
Yeah.
They
for
don't
sure.
have cats. If for me, a black woman who has many cats is like,
No. It's you.
we are tired.
Mm,
We are
yeah,
tired.
yeah.
So it's like, so yeah, but basically there are some things that they go through which, the engagements, in as much as we engage, it's not really recognized until there's lobola, you know. They have dowry, they have whatever. So it's really white people problems, that and when someone is talking, yeah, my hair was freely and whatnot, I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably to a white lady, she will relate to that, to say,
Yeah.
my hair also does that, when
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm just there reading, like, okay.
What's happening?
Yeah, but of course there are some fundamental problems which we all
We
go
all
through,
go through and sure, yeah.
like if you read Anne of Green Gables, it's about this orphan girl, so she basically she was unwanted,
Yeah.
because the couple which took her in,
Yeah.
they had requested for an Iran boy, but then a girl came instead of the boy,
Okay.
so then it's that thing whereby, and her character, she's this loud, opinionated, very smart, very bright young lady.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that because I was very loud as well. I was very curious. I was very, so yes, in as much as there's intersectionality, but then there are some things which I won't understand, as a black person. So for me, it is very important for black people to feel represented, to, if I write about yo ilobola wahamba kanje kanje kanje,
Yeah.
if I write about polygamy, a black person will understand
yeah.
where it's coming from. Yeah, like with Unomaswazi, she is from a polygamous family,
Yeah.
and that causes her to have a strained relationship with her siblings, especially her sister,
Yeah.
so a black person will understand that, especially if maybe they came from a large family or they come from a polygamous family and they have all that,
Yeah.
they can understand, they can relate to that, and when I speak about body shaming,
Yeah.
a lot of white people, maybe they might suffer from bulimia and whatnot, but as a black person, being dark at times is a problem,
Yeah.
or being very light skinned is a problem. So there are some problems which a black person will really relate to, which cannot, you cannot find in maybe books written by white people. But maybe there are books which, but for me, the books that I read, I could relate, but then I couldn't really relate until I read Uhlomu by Ududu Busan, And when I'm reading this book, she's talking about Brie taxi rank. Already you're like, I know
okay,
Brie,
I know
I've
Brie,
been to
yeah,
Brie,
yeah.
She's talking about Beria. You've been there, you're like, you can actually picture it.
Yeah.
It becomes vivid in your
Yeah.
mind. It's like that thing you would see. Yeah. And there were African books that I read before that, but a lot of them focused on apartheid. They talked about serious stuff like false things fall apart.
Things for what was the person who wrote that? I forgot.
Please don't embarrass me. I know the name, but I'm not sure if I can pronounce it.
Please correct us there on the comments. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I know his name, but Achieve.
Achieve what?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine. It's fine.
It's okay.
So
Yeah.
when talking to you, I can sense that you're a very, very good human being, and there are some of the things that I realized. Would you say that you are and egalitarian.
Yes, I believe that all human beings are equal. I don't think that we should be separated by status, wealth, religion, and whatever religion you
Race.
are, race. Yes, whatever religion, race, or whatever you are. At the end of the end of the day, you are a human being, and you deserve dignity.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that. Even as hard as it is, even murderers, rapists, and those people who have wronged society in a way, even those people who are, I remember my university professor, Madu. He used to say the first lesson we had about law, he said the law is the law, whether just or unjust, moral or immoral, right or wrong, the law is the law. So I usually take that content. It's deep, right? Like the law is the law, whether you agree to a law, whether you think it's right or wrong,
yeah.
it is, as long as it has been put into place as the law, you have to respect that it's the law, right? So I use that on human beings. So a human being is a human being, whether poor or rich, whether moral, upright person or an immoral person,
Middle
whether
class or whatever.
exactly, whether white, black, pink, yellow, whether they are a prostitute or a priest, whether they're a criminal or, whether they're still, at the end of the day, it's a human being, and they deserve to be treated with dignity, So I try to speak to everyone the same way, in the same manner. And we have this thing as Africans, whereby, even especially in our families, the meeting doesn't start until the rich uncle comes.
Yeah.
And when he gets there, he's like, even if he says no, the sun must now start setting in the east, you'll agree. Everyone will be like, and I believe that once you start assigning people's worth in accordance to where they come from, what they earn, what they have, you miss out on a lot. Because because there is so much we get from books, but then there's so much more you get from actually being in contact with human beings. I remember this other coach, he used to say, if you want to go far, learn the language of a person where you're going to, even if it's just to say hello, how are you, or just to ask, to say please, or to say sorry, or just to ask directions. It's very important, because they automatically relax. When I say dumelang, even if I say it wrong, you automatically, there's
I can see you as one.
Exactly. It's like saying I see you, this thing. So for me, every human being, deserves so much. They deserve love, but our circumstances are different, but it doesn't make you any less of a human being. If you abort, you're still a human being. Even if you rape, I believe that the law should take course, but then you're still a human being. Even when the law is taking course, it should still, it should still view you as a human being. In one of my books, Unomaswazi, I was writing about this Uhlongwane, the male. I was writing from his point of view.
I'm actually looking for Unomaswazi.
It's not. So Unomaswazi now. Unomaswazi. So that's Unomaswazi. The issue of the tits, my distributor was very he was very, very, so I usually have a problem when I'm uploading it on Instagram and all that stuff. They're like, community standards. I'm like, no, I'm black. Tits mean nothing to us. It's
Can touch them.
So but basically, when I was writing Unomaswazi, Uhlongwane was once a child soldier, or was once in a camp with child soldiers. So they were made to, child soldiers, especially in DRC, they're made to do atrocious things. Like when they join these rebels, like Nyabega, Dictionary,
No, hey, when I live here, I have names to research. Atrocious.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what they were made to do are like killing people, like the bandits for you to join, or so for them to take control of those children, they make them do things. They make them kill their parents so that you have nowhere to run to. They make them rape their mothers and their sisters. They make them, when I was reading through it, because I did a dissertation on it, and you read of all these things, and it's like, at the end of the day, in as much as these children are victims, they are also perpetrators.
Yeah, for sure.
So in as much as you want to feel sorry for them, you can't really look beyond what they did.
Sure.
But even then, they're still human beings. So yeah.
So in all your books that you've written, is there that one book that you would start afresh?
Start afresh? No, not really.
Not really.
Because I feel like the stories come to me as they are, and in as much as some of them might not have my personality, they might not have my beliefs, my convictions, but a story is just that. It comes to me, and I just tell it as it is. And so I wouldn't start any afresh. Maybe I would edit them, for grammar and all that stuff, because
okay.
it can never be perfect. The book can never be perfect. But then according to storyline and everything else, no, I think.
So grammar, you find you are not B.
No. I said I would edit them for grammar.
Okay.
I said I'd edit them for grammar, but everything else, no, I wouldn't.
So, as an author, as a person, and as a member of the community, what are your wishes? Could be anything.
$1 million would be nice.
Had that.
$1 million. If there's anyone with $1 million that they want to give me, it's fine. I'm open. I'm just joking, but not joking.
You're serious but not serious.
I'm serious but not serious. Yeah. Okay, but my wish is for women to to love themselves. Like especially African women, because I feel like we have been conditioned to be so hard on ourselves. Like we have been conditioned to expect so much from ourselves, like as a firstborn, as a mother. I'm always saying this, there is a high moral compass when it comes to women that does not apply to men. It starts when you're young. As a girl, you're told by 6 p.m. you should be home. But a boy child can be roaming around at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. and you're like, but it's not the same with a girl child. You're told keep your virginity for the right person. But the boys are told to what yes, like yes, just. And now you're asking yourself, okay, laba baba dlamuzayo ke bona bazothathwa ubani? It's that sort of. So I wish we could just be allowed to be, just to make mistakes, to say to that girl, it's okay if you had an abortion, it's okay, it's fine. You did what you had to do at that time. You did what you don't have to be so hard on yourself. It happened, it's fine, forgive yourself, move on. It's okay for that woman who can't have a child. We still see you, you're still a human being, you still there's still so much more to you than your womb. To say I wish women could just whether you're big or small, you have stripes or no stripes, you're light skinned, you're dark skinned, you have weaves, you have whatever, just love yourself. Just this life, we only have one life. Live it. That is my wish for
all right, I hear you. Before we close, in the context of what you were saying about women, I guess this is the reason why you're selling the t-shirts and writing like powerful messages on the back of the t-shirts.
Yeah.
Guys, this is the t-shirt she sells, which are great. Please tell us where they can find them and why do you have like special different messages behind.
Okay, so you can find, for now the t-shirts are only being sold by me.
Okay.
Because originally I made them as a promotion, but then the women loved them so much, so I started, because I would write like little messages of love to them, like I am woman, I am enough, I am love, I am, those sort of things which give you just that oomph on your step when you're just walking. So the reason why I write them is those tiny messages of love to say, no, you know what, you're enough, you are a woman, and that's amazing on its own. Like, being a woman is enough. So I want those messages to just be messages of hope, messages that women can carry with them where they go. Just feel good.
Yeah, feel good.
Feel good,
you're
look
enough.
good. Just
You always promote self-love. So do you think self-love is something that you're born with or something that's nurtured?
I think that it's actually both, right?
Okay.
Because there's this other psychological thing that I heard. I'm not a psychologist,
Okay.
but I heard that when you talk to your child in the womb, when the child is told, before the child is born, they can hear you and they attach feelings to. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that thing whereby when a mother is talking to the child, singing, and they encourage even the father to talk and bond with the child before it's even born. So if there's going to be a difference between that child whose mother is always crying, whose mother is always stressed, whose mother is always, when pregnant, and that baby who has both parents are, lovingly talking, those loving words to it. So you're so beautiful, you're so handsome, before it's even born. And that child who's, and then also as after being born, you see the babies, they say when a baby suckles on their thumb, it's usually they say a mechanism to, like, because they are hurting and they can't, so they are just like comforting themselves. It's self-comfort.
Wow.
So yeah,
I know that.
I read a lot, so
Yeah,
I come across some
yeah.
strange things, but I think it's true. So a child, but generally a child who is encouraged, who is like always told, no, you're so good, even if they're not good, even if they sing horribly, but if they're told you're so good, then they have that confidence to keep on going. So that's the nurturing part. It's being nurtured. But at times, even if you don't get it from your parents, you can start your own self-love. You can get to a point where you're like, you know what, I had a crappy upbringing, I had a crappy, but this is who I am, and I want to make the most of who I am.
Yeah.
And then you can start from there. But it all begins internally. At times we get it externally as well. But the most important part is you feeling it inside, because you can be the most beautiful person in the world. But if you don't see it, if you don't believe it, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else says.
Yeah.
You can be good at something, but if you don't see it, even if I tell you now, I would say, no, you could have been a scientist.
Yeah.
Your reaction will be like, hi, man, when. Because, so it begins with you. And at times it helps if you've been hearing it from forever.
Yeah.
But then still, even if you haven't, it's still possible to start yourself. So it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
You're either born with it, or somewhere along the line you actively seek to, that finding yourself you're talking about. When you're finding yourself, there'll be bits and pieces of you that you don't like.
Of course.
Yeah, they will be, and learning to live with those bits, learning to love those bits, to say, no, I don't have, I stutter, but it's who I am.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. When you say like that, you remind me of a quote that Maya Angelou said. She said, "Be careful when a naked man offers you a shirt," you know, and that brings me back to self-love. That you can't give something you don't have.
So true,
Yeah.
so true. Yeah, and I'm always telling people this, that you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't, if and in as much as, and this is a problem that women have. We are nurturers. We love nurturing others. We like
Building stuff from scratch.
not all of us are builders, Sham. Mina ngifuna ukufika sokwakhiwe ngihlala.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. But yeah, what I'm saying is that you can't be busy loving others. You can't be giving so much of yourself and leaving nothing for yourself. You're going to burn out at some point. So you can't give from an empty cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. It needs to be filled. And I always ask this question: what are your love languages? Because a lot of times when we talk about love languages, he likes love languages. Okay. So when we talk of love languages, we usually think about when people are communicating those love languages to us.
Yeah.
We don't think about us communicating those same languages to ourselves.
Oh.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if your love language is gifts, what do you give yourself? If your love language is spending quality time,
why don't you
not even why. What quality time are you spending with yourself?
If it's affirmations,
what affirmations are you giving yourself? So you see, even if, because this is the thing, even if someone showers you with all this love, if you don't have it, you don't know how to receive it.
So when we are going through your social media, we realize that there's this one common question people ask you, which is, where do you publish your book? How was the process and everything? Yeah. Could you please lay it down for them now? Because it's the question that people always ask you.
Yeah. It's like, it's really a question whereby I don't have a publisher. I self-publish my books, all of them, all 4 of them. So with self-publishing, the first thing is have a manuscript. Like, this is very important, guys. Have a manuscript. Yeah, because even if I tell you how to publish, if you don't have a manuscript.
And what's a manuscript?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. A manuscript is when you've written down everything, and it's like your Word document. Like, you've written down from your book, from chapter 1 up to chapter whatever, whereby you have a storyline and you actually write it down. Not the planning of the story. A lot of people usually say, I want to write. I'm like, I can't help you write, but I can help you publish what you've written. So that's the difference. So a manuscript is what you've written down in a Word document or what. Sorry.
Yeah.
So if
that's a manuscript.
That's a manuscript.
Yeah.
That's a manuscript. So the process. So you have a manuscript. Yeah. That's the first thing, right? Okay. Then the second thing is decide if you want to self-publish like me, or you want to get a publishing house. And then
okay, what's a publishing house?
Okay, a publishing house is a company which helps you publish your book. Okay. So what they do is you submit your manuscript or a section of your manuscript, and this is very important. Yeah. Don't just go around submitting your whole manuscript to people. Submit maybe 3 chapters. Because you never know what people will do with your manuscript, and you won't have anything if I just take your thing and then run with it. We've seen that some easy thing and all that stuff. So it's very important to not be trusting with your. A lot of people say, can I send you my manuscript? And I'm like, no, don't.
The next thing you say, I stole your idea.
No, don't. So maybe 3 chapters, and then if they like it, they'll give you a contract. And it's very important if you get a writing contract. get a lawyer.
Hmm.
And this is important.
So what if I'm a guy
If you
from
can't-
Kasi?
If you can't afford one, just ask someone with some legal background
Okay.
to go through it. And also maybe check on the internet for typical things that there's writing contracts usually have,
Okay.
because at times you give away rights that you didn't know you had, because when you're writing a book, you can also give away your film rights, and you can give away when you have a publisher. They shouldn't take away your rights as the author, your copyright, that thing. So have someone go through it, and then once you've signed, the nice thing about a publishing house is that once you've signed with them, they'll give you their terms to say, we want you to work this, or we need you to rework your manuscript, and they have an editor for you, they have proofreader, they have peer reviewers, they have everything for you. They print for you, they do this and that, and then maybe call you to go talk on radios and do this and that, and for the marketing purposes. But they basically do everything for you. That's publishing houses.
Manuscript, publishing house, and then
if you want to self-publish,
which is what you do,
which is what I'm doing. So it's self-publishing. Once you have your manuscript, look for an editor. That's the first thing. And look for someone you can trust, and always drop an agreement. Drop an agreement. And after it's been edited, look for a proofreader, someone who can read through your work to check if there are any mistakes which you and the editor might have skipped, And then after that, look for someone who can do your cover design, because the first thing someone sees is the cover, and it will either make or break your book. If it's an attractive cover, people want to know, and your cover must show or hint at your story, to say, already you can see from this that there's a bit of yoga going on, a bit of spirituality, exactly. You see, so that's it. And then after that, look for someone who's going to do your typography, which is basically someone who's going to do your typesetting, to say this alignment, the size of your font, everything is like, so and then someone who's going to do your page number, someone who's going to that's
I didn't know it's a lot of work.
it is. And then after that, get some quotations from different printers to know how much it's going to cost. And then after that, it goes to your printer and it comes back as this. That's when the real work starts. You thought it was a whole process. The real work starts when the book is there, because then you have to market it like crazy. If you go through my social media, books, it's all I talk about. It's all, because you need people to actually see your book, to actually want to read it. And a lot of people think that if you just, I've written a book, but how do we know about it if you don't talk about it? Talk until people start listening. That sort of a thing, whereby you do your aggressive marketing. Be there. Your book must be in people's faces. Like, yes, read my book. 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 Yeah, that sort of a thing. Yeah. So and then sell books.
Yes. So before we close, there is someone that is looking up to you, and maybe they want to be, they can't be you, but they want to take the same path as you. And they're dealing with a lot of things, insecurities, self-love, self-journey, and they can't even afford to buy your book. So what do you say to people like that?
I was there too. I was once there. I was once at a place where I couldn't afford a book. I've been there. um, I talked to you about working at Steers and earning like 2,000 and most of it going to transport. So I've been there, and it takes a whole lot of work, but a lot more believing in yourself. And at times, if you can't believe in yourself, have people around you who believe in you. That is what happened for me. I had people who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. People will be like, "No, Busi, you're great, right?" I'm like, "No, guys, no, 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 no. There's no, do it.
Yeah.
So you need those people to push you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need people to invest in you. And at times, if you can't find someone to invest in you, there are some who do pre-orders, but for people to actually pay money, they have to have a glimpse of maybe what you're doing. So start Facebook is actually, everyone is on their phones, like
Yeah.
everyone is always busy on their phones.
Yeah.
So use your social media to your advantage. Instead of being busy with ukuthi ubonang wenzeni, aka
Yeah.
be busy with whatever it is you want to align yourself with. And once follow those authors, follow them, even if you don't think they're going to respond, but they're going to say something which will stick in your brain. If there's a workshop close to you, go be there. If an author is launching their book, go be there, so that you see, and in seeing you are motivated, and also you're preparing yourself for your journey. Yeah, so it's yeah, it's a full-time thing. And if you want, just start writing. Even if it doesn't make sense, because a lot of times we think it's going to be perfect with the first book, it's going to be perfect with the first draft. It's not. Like, this is a finished thing of, I don't know how many manuscripts. You go through it, you edit, you cut this out, you add this, you shuffle it around, you say no, but chapter 7 should have been in chapter, you like. So it's, so just write, even if it doesn't make sense. Write until you're done. Then when you're done, get people to help you to make it make sense.
Yeah.
All
right. These 2 books came out at the same time. In closing, guys, buy these 2 books. I always say readers are leaders. So before we close, please tell us where they can buy books, and where they can catch you on social media.
Okay.
Yeah, before we close.
Okay, so you can buy those books on Exclusive Books, Bargain Books,
Please show them,
CNA.
Vincent.
Yeah, so CNA, Take a Lot. You can get them on Amazon. You can actually read them for free on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, you can, as long as you have a monthly subscription. I think it's less than 300, it's less than 200. Yeah.
Okay.
You just subscribe, and then you can read them for free there. And then you can get them Protea Books. You can also get them from me. Just send me a text or DM or whatever. I always respond.
Yeah.
And you can check for my upcoming work on my Facebook page, Our Stories by Busisekile Khumalo. Actually, Our Stories, Busisekile Khumalo. That's the name of the page. And my social media, I'm mostly on Facebook, Busisekile Khumalo. I'm also on Instagram, Busisekile Khumalo. Twitter, Busisekile Khumalo. So yeah.
Alright, this is how we close. This is the Good Gift Show. Please comment, like, and hit that notification button. And we love you guys so much. We out of here. Bang.
Okay, over.